Welcome to Think Big for Africa podcast. On this podcast, we will bring you interesting conversations with local, national, and international African leaders from all walks of life, home and abroad. Leaders who are doing their bits to progress Africa's development. Conversation topics will range from education, science, health, leadership, politics, business, and many other global issues. Conversations about everything that concerns Africa's development. Africa has so many wonderful achievers worldwide, and this is exactly what we will bring to you on Think Big for Africa podcast. Stay tuned.
Thank you, Biodun, for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure.
Good. Now, this has been, I've been planning this for a long time, and I wanted to start it last year. In fact, I didn't want it to be over the internet. I wanted to sit down with you and everybody else, and I will talk to you. In fact, last year I was planning to travel to Africa, to travel across Africa maybe 10, 20 times, because that's what this podcast will involve, because I want to talk to people from Africa. I want to talk to people from Africa. The few times I was able to travel in Africa, I loved it. And I hope.
Where do you travel to?
Well, Kenya, South Africa,
Okay.
So I loved it. I know you have traveled in Africa, and I will bring people who have traveled through Africa to let people know their experiences, because our continent is a fantastic place. And
I'm not a Pan-Africanist, though.
What?
I'm not a Pan-Africanist because
I am.
That word does not have any serious meaning, and
we'll get to that. You see, I totally believe that we as Africans need to work together. Okay, the political situation, the whatever needs to happen on the political space needs to happen. But for me, even before then, I think Africans, business people like you, need to start collaborating with other business people across the continent.
We'll get there, and I'll share my views.
Okay.
I'll share my views.
Okay. Now, this week, we lost our former governor, the former governor of Lagos State.
Yes.
Jakonde.
Yes.
See, I think you agree with me that that guy did something. I mean, without him, maybe you and I would not be friends. Because we're friends, because we're in the same class in secondary school.
Yes.
You see? So that guy
has... the man was a transformational leader.
Good.
He had a lot of positive impact on so many lives. It's so unfortunate that we don't have such leaders again in this country.
Yeah.
It's also unfortunate. I don't know what to do to bring back those kind of leaders. I don't believe it's because we don't have such people. I think it's because the political climate is so warped and so dysfunctional that people like that don't get thrown up to the position of leaders.
Well, see, I have this view that our generation, people like us, thought that politics was beyond us. See, for me, for example, I never voted when I was in Nigeria, and it's something I regret.
You and I had that discussion some time ago now.
Yes, I regret it. See, I had a warped view. I would say that I had a warped view of politics. In fact, I had a video 2 weeks ago when I talked about why politics. I say why politics because politics in my lifetime, from late 80s to now, politics has not delivered any substance. See, when I look at the young people today, those born in the 80s, they have not lived through 10 years where politics delivered anything.
I agree.
You see, and I think it's one of the causes of that is that people like us just abandoned the political space, either as electorates or as active participants.
I don't think that is the case. I think it's more of the incentive.
Okay.
You understand? It is my belief that our political landscape has gotten a lot more toxic
Okay.
and dysfunctional
Okay.
since the return to democracy. Of course, during the military era, it basically sank to zero. Everything sank to zero under virtually all the military leaders, especially Abacha.
Okay.
Right. So I think what has happened is because of that dysfunctionality, you basically in having leaders that are just interested in their pockets. It's almost like a grab. Everybody's grabbing, while the grabbing is good, right? Nobody's really interested in giving back or building anything or leaving a legacy. The type that were very apparent in the days of Jack Conde and the people before him, the Second Republic, the First Republic. And, but the issues are actually fundamental. The issues are not just about the people. Yes, of course, the people is part of the problem. Let me say the people that have been thrown up. But the issues go back to the very foundation of Nigeria and many African countries.
Yeah.
Right. So if you take a look at, let's go back to 1900. Let's see.
Okay.
I think by 1900 or by 1910, the British had essentially conquered the whole of the area that eventually formed Nigeria. Before then, what you had all these small kingdoms. You had the Sokoto Caliphate, you had Oyo, you had Benin, and in between you had a lot of small kingdoms, right? And these kingdoms, they all had their own political system and structures.
Yes.
Right. The Igbos, for example, they were formed into small clans, and within those clans, they were very democratic. So the most able got elected to lead.
Yes, that's it. The most
the most able. So you say that you have killed an elephant while hunting. You're a very strong wrestler.
Yeah, or a farmer. Yeah,
a farmer that knows that. But you must have shown competence.
Yeah.
And leadership in your own area before they choose you to lead. You come to the Yoruba region, what you had was like a confederation of states. So you had Oyo, Ijebu, all these guys were like, they formed like a confederation. They all agree that, yes, we all come from the same progenitor. That's another discussion for another day. But, within this confederation, the kingdoms were actually run for the benefit of the elite and the people. Right? Go to the north. What they were running was a feudalistic and more like a system where power belonged to the leader. So you guys were not interested. Everything was centralized, right? So the emas, everything resided with the ema.
Okay.
So in a typical Northern Emirates, for example, it is very unlikely that a commoner, through hard work, will rise to the top of the society, unlike in the Igbos or the Yorubas. So essentially, the emir will actually decide who goes to the top, right? So when Nigeria was formed in 1914, of course, there are other groups in Nigeria that practice something in between these things, or a mixture of what these three were practicing. So when Nigeria was formed in 1914, amalgamated in 1914, the British essentially amalgamated regions.
Two sides that had totally different of life.
3 sides, actually. Minimum 3 sides. That had different political ideologies. Right. We all know that for you to make progress in society, a certain number of a critical mass, I like using that word, the critical mass within society must agree that this is the right thing to do.
Good.
I think that's what I'm holding Nigeria back.
Now, that's what that's what I argued in my video about politics. When I say why politics, because see, what I see is this: politics is so. Let me use the word toxic. It's so toxic that when a party or a person is elected, from day one, the opposition is already fighting and doing everything to help that elected person or party to fail.
That's normal. For me, as far as I'm concerned, it's normal.
Now,
and that's their job.
No, wait a minute. See, this doesn't allow the society to work together to progress. See,
I'll tell you why I disagree.
Wait.
Okay.
When you start concocting all kind of manners of things to make the elected person or party to fail, then all they will do is to fend off the arrows everywhere. Now, if you look at it, look at this. If people come together and say, what do we want? And through dialogue, debate, whatever, they come up with 10 points. This is what we want. It's very clear. This is what we want. Now, politicians can now come and say, okay, you want 10 schools in the country, or you say in education, for example, you want 10 universities within 20 years, right? If that was what is agreed. Now, I can, with my strategy, I can deliver 5 in the next 4 years. And he runs on that. Now, when it comes, he knows, of course, he has other things the group has agreed. So he campaigns on what is his own strategy that will help him deliver some of that. Now, when he comes, you leave him to do the work, and then you judge him by the results. Now, currently, currently, every politician decide what to campaign for. You see, they campaign for things that the ordinary people don't even want.
Yeah.
You see, so whenever they come to office, they do what they want, and they leave office with so many elephant projects everywhere. And
Yes.
the next group will come on board with their own project and leave the projects the former
Previous guys.
people
Yes.
did. That's why
Yes.
we have
Let me add something. Let me add something that you may have omitted.
okay.
And that is the motivation why people do anything.
Okay.
Right? It is my fundamental belief that everybody works for himself. I know I've said it a few times. When you are working with Citibank, you are not working with Citibank because you loved Citibank or you wanted to earn salary for humanity. When you earn your salary, you didn't stand at the gate of your street and dish out the salary now. You were spending the money on yourself and the people that are close to you, the people that really matter to you.
Okay.
As far as you are concerned, everybody can go and hug a transformer. As far as the salary goes, they don't have any share your salary, right? So you are working for yourself. All the hard work, all the striving that you are doing while at Citibank, it was, to earn more income, to get promoted, and all that, right? Why should we expect that our politicians will be any different?
Well,
see, a lot of people play very toxic politics in their place of work.
But politics is supposed to.
I'm coming there. Let me make this point. You see, a lot of people play very toxic politics in their places of work. Fighting, setting up, just basically because they want to get promoted above other people. They want to earn more income and stuff like that. I don't believe, politics in that society is any different. And if you go and check, there's this professor Milton Friedman that wrote a book.
Sure.
Right. He called it Free to Choose. Right. And so essentially what the man said was that there are 4 ways to spend money. Right. You spend your own money on yourself. Now, when you have to spend your own money on yourself, right, the money you are sweated for, if you have to spend it on yourself, you're going to spend it wisely. That's the first way to spend money.
Okay.
The second way is you spend your own money on someone else, right? And let's find an example. Let's find an example. If you have to spend your own money on someone else, chances are that you're not going to break your own back. You're not going to go the whole hog to find the best quality thing. The third one is you spend someone else's money on yourself. You're going to be very, very wasteful. If it's somebody else's money that you're spending on yourself.
So for me, we need to curb that wastefulness.
Yes. So what
by
we need to
giving
do, the
politicians agenda.
Yes. No. So this is the first one I want to mention. You spend someone else's money on someone else. So the last two that I mentioned, that's where you have the politicians. So politicians are spending other people's money on themselves, right? Look, they have no incentive to manage your money for you.
So we have incentive.
Yes. We have incentive to ensure that they spend our money properly.
Good. So we need to come up with those agenda items
or the system
our politicians must work on.
Thank you. This is where the political system is so important, right? Because everything comes down to the political system. Yeah. Now, earlier I talked about the different political systems that you have in the north, the west, and the east of Nigeria.
Yeah.
Right? And these are systems that have evolved over time. So the people in these regions have settled for it. It has worked for them. When
you say it has worked for them, it has worked for the leadership.
They were not perfect. No, well, you see, until a new system comes and disrupts, right? People were relatively happy. They had several decades of peace.
Okay.
Aside from the periods when you had when you had slave trade and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They had several decades, and maybe even centuries of peace. They were trading with, so we can say it worked for them, right? So, but if you check, those systems had their own checks and balances, right? So in the Yoruba region, for example, the king, if he misbehaves, he will commit suicide. He will be forced to commit suicide. Because it's almost like they are giving him the entire society. They are making him own the entire society on the condition that he will return something to society, make the society move forward.
Yeah.
So during this time, there must be prosperity. There must not be outbreak,
all that
epidemics. And so on and so forth. So the moment he fails in any of those, a council of elders will come together and say, "Oh God, you are failed. You have to go." Yeah. And this is not a case of, okay, go to the next village. No. You have to leave this world. Yes. Because there's nowhere for you to go and hide. So that sends a strong message to the next king that I mustn't fail, because if I fail, these people are going to.
That means
send me on that part.
He will now have to talk to his advisors and that, and then.
Exactly. So there's a contract between him and the ruled, the society, right? The same you had in the north, right? What I noticed about the north at that time was, even up till recent, was, they had this culture of sharing. You are the emir, but you share with everybody in society. You are you might the man at the top, but there is really nothing that you enjoy that the people, the smallest person in society does not enjoy with you. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So they had inbuilt checks and balances. On the Igbo side, the Igbos were a Republican, but look, they had this belief that, hey, if a guy is making his money this way, I can go and make my own the other way.
Yeah.
I don't have to sit down and wait for this man to come and feed me.
Yeah.
Right? So, and those societies created avenues for these sentiments to be expressed. They had all these checks and balances, right? And that brings me to the next thing. And it's a very fundamental point. Consequences.
Yeah.
I think
right now there are no consequences for anything.
Absolutely. What makes the political system strong?
It's not only in Nigeria. Look at yesterday, Mr. Trump was acquitted in the second what's it called now?
Yeah.
Senate trial. The Republicans voted to acquit him, so that's fine. Well, see, when I talk politics, people nowadays people think I voted for the liberal parties. In truth, the only time I voted for the Labour Party, the Labour Party in this country, in the UK, was in the last election. Before then, I voted all through for the Conservatives. But see, I'm open to either party, right? But right now, interestingly, my view of the world tend to lean towards the views of the liberal parties, the Democrats in America, the Labour in. See, I still have my issues with the Labour Party in this country, even though I voted for them. In fact, my vote for the Labour Party last election was my anger towards the Brexit referendum and the lies that Mr. Johnson, who I loved. I loved Boris Johnson before I started hearing him saying things that were. Anyway, let's leave that one. anyway, let's leave politics. You see, I know a lot of young people would In fact, the reason why I'm doing this, I'm very interested in young people, their progress.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk to a lot of young people across Africa. I talk to them a lot. And I see that we need to guide them as much as we can. See, I believe the future of Africa belongs to them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Totally, totally.
Yep.
One thing is that many of our young people do not have the education they need.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You see, they don't have that. I
But you know,
talked to
everything starts with politics.
well, that's it.
Politics is really, it's just a contract or an agreement on how we are governed or how we want to be governed.
Yeah,
You know, so if we don't get the politics right, everything will fail.
yes,
And for me, I can almost reduce politics, or let me say, functioning politics, not the dysfunctional one, to three or four things. The very first one is action and reaction. What are the, you take an action, what are the consequences,
yeah,
right? So if you have a system whereby there are consequences on every citizen based on set rules, right? So you take this action, this is what you get. Take this action, this is what you get. Once you have that system, you're already on your way. The second one is how you enforce that kind of social contract,
yeah,
right? Third is transparency, accountability, right? And maybe you may want to add, how do we force leadership to do what we want as a people? But that comes down to how active the citizens are in demanding for results from their leaders.
right. Now that brings me to this. There was the NSAS protests in
Mm-hmm.
October.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, I got a message on WhatsApp that said there was a demonstration by Lekki Tollgate in
Yes,
Lagos,
yesterday.
and then the
Yesterday.
video that was sent to me was the police arresting a lot of young people, putting them
Mm-hmm.
in a bus, stripping them of their
Mm-hmm.
shirts and
Mm-hmm.
packing them in a manner I can't.
Packing them like sardines.
I mean, I thought, I said to myself, is this an old video? And then the commentary told me
It happened yesterday.
yeah. So is there another protest in Lagos? What's going
Yeah,
on?
it happened yesterday. Yeah, there was another protest yesterday. They were
W-
going to reopen the toll gate, and the young people went there to protest against it.
Okay, what are they protesting exactly?
They didn't want it to be open because they felt it was wrong. There hasn't been any retribution to the families of the people that lost people there.
Okay,
There hasn't been any, what do you call it? No accounting for
yeah,
who died, who didn't die, what are the consequences for those that went there to
yeah.
shoot people, and all of that.
I mean, I know that many people were contesting the validity of people dying on that spot, and yeah, I some of our friends were arguing against it. Uh,
Mm-hmm. They
so,
live they live in delusion.
I
A
mean,
lot of people died there. A lot of people were shot. You know, you can't send armed soldiers into that crowd and they were shooting straight into people, and you say, oh, nobody was killed. I mean, what was even the point of that kind of talk? Why the soldiers go there to be shooting?
yeah, that's one thing I can't phantom. why I'm so, well, I can't use the word, well, let me use it. I'm so scared of an unorganized protest. See, I I I loved the inside protest because they were organized, and they were not violent until later when some people started burning things. And I mean, but most of that protest was organized, non-violent, and it was an example, of what young Africans can do when they are organized. You see, so uh, I've heard people saying that we don't want an organized protest. I think about it. Why not? See, an organized protest is the best way to let the leaders know if you're not satisfied. So I'm so sad about what I saw yesterday in the video. I mean, it shows that the security officers haven't learned anything from the last protest.
Yeah, they haven't.
You know.
They haven't.
So I mean, I don't know what's going on there, but I hope that those guys will be released without any further hardship to them.
No, I think they've been released.
Okay.
I heard they've been released.
Okay. Now, so what I was coming to is you worked. I mean, we went to the same schools, CMS Grammar School,
secondary and university.
Yeah, University of Lagos, and then you got into, after your NYSC, you worked for P&G, and I was fortunate to work for Citibank. You see, young people think that they can't get a good job without knowing someone. Okay, it's very widespread idea.
Belief, yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you know anybody in P&G?
Not even
MTN. Talk about it. Talk about how you got to work for P&G and MTN.
Okay. Let me start by saying
what you did there. Yeah.
I didn't know anybody before getting into those companies. But you can say some of the things I did before actually prepared me for those companies. And what do I mean? So when we finished school in 95, we went to NYSC. We went for NYSC in 96. I came back, there was no job. So I started doing home teaching. So I heard about...
I remember that. I remember that.
Yes. So I had about 3 clients, they come and go, but at any time, I will have about 3 clients. And I was making about 4K a month. 4K a month then would be the equivalent of maybe 40 to 60,000 today, So teaching like 9 times a week or something like that. Right. So I think what this helped me to do is it kept me always prepared for all these tests and interviews, because that's essentially what I was doing.
Yeah.
Teaching these children more or less every day.
Yeah.
So when the P&G opportunity came, I went for the test, I passed, went for the interview, I passed. But I believe that I wouldn't have passed the test and the interview if I had not been teaching, kind of.
Yeah. So you were prepared.
I was almost like, yeah, prepared, In fact, I did the test twice, and the 2 times I passed. So I wouldn't say it's something that dropped from the sky. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
I saw it in the papers, and I sent in my CV and with an application, and they called me. So that's as far as that was concerned. And when I got into P&G, I realized that it was almost like a school of management.
Mm.
So I had to pay attention and learn. So every single thing I did in P&G was to learn about marketing, management, and so on and so forth. By the time I left P&G, about 3 years later, I had already made up my mind that I was going to run my own business.
Okay.
Because I felt I knew enough. And then I went into MTN. And MTN, of course, was a much bigger place, right? So I worked in marketing, then I ran mobile money, By the time I was working in mobile money, which is essentially where I learned what I know about fintech, and related stuffs.
Yeah.
I was very, very ready. So after spending 3 years of mobile money, I said, look, it's time to go and start this thing that you've always been talking about.
Yeah.
All right. But earlier, before that, we had Simon and I, our mutual friend.
Yeah.
We had formed 3-way communication.
Yeah.
So WC. Right. So at that time, someone wanted to leave 3-way communications. So I saw it as a good opportunity to step in.
Yeah.
And acquire his shares in the company and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But before that was concluded, I went into Glow and I did 1 year, 4 months in Glow.
Mm.
Where I was the director for payments and e-commerce.
Okay.
E-payment and mobile money.
Okay.
So after that, I left and started running 3-way, which is what I do now.
Yeah. So tell me, what exactly does 3-way communication do?
Okay. 3-way communication has gone through some evolution in the last couple of years. So initially started as a value-added service company, right? Where it was selling ringtones and stuff like that, telcos. And since this new government came in,
Yeah.
no longer new, this government, there is a lot of transformation, negative transformation, let me put it that way, in the telecom sector. So it's really affected a number of these companies in that sector. So what we had to do was to evolve into something else.
Okay.
We had to find something else to do. So today we offer a lot of data services, internet services.
Okay.
We're getting an ISP license so that we can go fully into offering internet and data services.
Okay.
And we are partly a fintech company. So we do a lot of things in the fintech. We do a lot of things in the fintech space.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that's what we do now. But initially, we started as a vast company.
Mm. Okay. Nice. Now, see, something that we have in common is the love of science.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, today, I read, watch anything science. I'm so fascinated by the progress that science has done. But unfortunately, the majority of young people in Africa, across Africa, are not
science.
Don't even understand the fundamentals of why science is essential. See, now I want you to remove technology in science, because technology is just the use of science. Okay, so let's leave that, because people tell me, oh, I work in technology, but when I talk to them, they don't have the grasp of the fundamentals, principles of science. So let's leave that alone. Talk about how you got interested in science. You know, just talk about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you and I grew up like every other young person in Nigeria. But somewhere along the way, yes, Bariga Shomolu. Somewhere along the way, we jammed, if I may use that word, we jammed certain things that change our perspective of life.
And at a young age.
At a young age. I think in my own case, I think it was this program that I used to watch then, Cosmos.
Yeah, I watched too. Yeah.
I think Cosmos actually got me heavily interested in science, right? So I recall from my very early days, you know, I had been involved in a number of arguments with my peers on some of the traditional beliefs that our people hold that make no sense. Now, I think the reason why, you know, a lot of our people don't take any interest in science is, you know, partly because of our strong religiosity.
Yeah.
Right? And because there's really no incentive to take science serious. There's no motivation. There's no reward. So you get so everybody in society, they respond to stimuli or stimulus. So if you want people to take interest in something, you reward that thing. You know, but if you take a look at the things that our society is rewarding, our society rewards politicians who steal money.
Yeah.
You know, you get into public office, you steal money, you get away with it.
Yeah.
Now, they're even rewarding murderers, Boko Haram, others who are killing people. Give them amnesty, you know, they claim they send them to school. I don't know what kind of schooling those ones will ever do. You know.
We'll come to that very soon.
Yes. So as long as you have a society that does not incentivize the right things, right? The things that have moved other countries forward.
Yeah.
Are going to be in our state that we are in. A few of us took interest in science because the traditional explanation for so many things that we grew up with, they were just not sufficient.
Yeah.
We didn't see them as sufficient enough. We felt something was not right here. So we were looking for answers. And science created an opportunity for us to find some of the answers.
Yeah.
You know. But the reason why I don't like using the word science is, for me, it goes beyond science. I think science is probably the field that most encompasses a method for making inquiries and finding results.
Exactly. Right? So science actually is the method.
Yes.
The method. You can apply the same method in politics, in anything.
Absolutely.
Method. That's
yes.
the point.
Yes.
Method.
So yes. So that method, first of all, one of the fundamental elements of that method is critical reasoning.
Yeah.
Critical thinking.
Yeah. Asking questions.
Yeah.
Asking questions.
Yeah. You know, and trying to you know, link A and B together, right? So as long as there's a gap in an explanation, you haven't found the answer.
Yep.
So you keep drilling and drilling and drilling and drilling until you are able to block all the gaps you have seen.
Yeah.
So that method is what I think we are very weak on as a society.
Yeah. See, one of the reasons why we are weak on those methods is that many of our people take the first answers, and because of our traditional way of life, in terms of we believe in elders. Anything your elder or your religious leader tells you, we take it as truth without asking questions. See, this is now. I'm not asking anybody not to listen to their religious leaders, but I think we need to start asking questions.
Yeah.
I go online, mostly Facebook. Somebody posts something. There are so many questions I can ask.
Yep.
But majority of the people who read that post do not ask any.
Absolutely.
Especially if it's something posted by a religious person. They don't ask any questions.
Yeah.
In fact, they start chastising those who ask questions.
Who are asking questions? Yes.
See,
yeah.
I remember my days of well, I'll use the word church hopping, because I wanted to get answers to what I was learning in Christianity. I went to several churches, and I joined their, well, one of those churches, they say they have a foundation class for new members. So I joined those things. And then I asked questions. And unfortunately, I was branded demon possessed because I asked questions. See, I want our people. I don't know how to energize our young people to close their eyes and see the future. The future is not going to come by agreeing with anything that anybody says to you. It will only come when you start asking questions, and then experimenting. I don't know how we can encourage our young people to do that, because see, people,
it starts with the politics.
Well,
it's going to be forced anyway. The reality is that the world has become a village.
Yes.
And many of these things will be forced on us, whether we like it or not.
Well, see, that's what I don't want. I don't want that to happen. See, when things are forced on us, people become resentful.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I don't want things to be forced on us. I want us to go to it by ourselves.
Be proactive about it.
Yes. See, and I will say this. You see, our spiritual nature, naturally in Africa, tend to ask questions, but Christianity, maybe I don't know about Islam, Christianity in particular doesn't learn to asking questions. That's why I know, because I mean I've gone through it.
It's all religion. See, the moment a religion lends itself to being questioned, yeah, so many unpleasant truths will be unearthed, and there will be a lot of rebellion, and religion will just fizzle out, right? So it's a fundamental element of religion not to question, not to question certain of its tenets. All religions have it. So it's not just Christianity. In fact, Christianity is probably one of the milder ones
Well,
nowadays.
you say so. I tend to disagree. Okay, but
No, because
I don't.
I know a lot about Islam. I know a lot about Islam.
Okay, you were a Muslim, your family.
Yes.
Okay, I was a Christian, but I would say my family is still Christian. But see, we have different opinion, but the common opinion is that science, or the method of science,
Making inquiries, yes.
experimenting and asking more questions before you accept anything, is the way to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So see, with the difference of opinion between Islam and Christianity, we'll talk about in later, maybe in a personal space. So the point is this: we need to encourage our young people to start asking questions, and see, because if we don't, like you said, the change will be forced on us, and that's
It will be. And you see, it's happened before in our history.
Yeah.
You see, colonialism. When, colonialism brought a whole lot of negatives, but it was because our people simply refused to accept modernity. That was why the gap between us and the rest of the world grew so wide. So
Okay.
I always ask one question. The Benin Empire had been dealing with the Portuguese since 14 something, right?
Yeah.
And the Benin society did not change until the British came to sack it.
Yeah.
In 1890 something.
That's true.
So how can the society not change for 400 years or 500 years?
With our interaction with the Portuguese, at least we should have been learning something. But at the same time, the Benin kingdom was more advanced than Portugal way back then.
See, this is my point on this.
This is more advanced than Portugal.
No, this is my point. See, when the two kingdoms first started interacting, there wasn't a lot of gap in the level of advancement.
Yes.
Yeah. But what you had was Portugal started moving forward.
Well, see, that in those era, because Portugal was European, the Enlightenment era came within that time. So with the knowledge of Enlightenment,
it didn't stop the interaction of Portugal and Benin.
No.
Right? They were still interacting.
Yes.
For about 400, 500 years.
Yes.
Benin was eventually sacked. My theory of why that happened was because the ruling elites in Benin basically kept the population down. They made it difficult for the population to rise. Like we said, that method of question, experiment, question, experiment before you arrive at an answer. They did not allow that kind of thing to happen. And they call it our culture. This is what happened in the rest of the world. Or if you say Europe, or if you say Portugal, for example, it was because certain things happened in society that made the ruling elites accept their rulership to be questioned. So when you question rulership and they are put on their toes, then they make moves to justify why they should be there. And in making those moves, you put in the right kind of policies and actions,
because
and society moves forward.
I will tell you.
In our own case,
I will tell you. In fact, I have never thought about this. See, with the interaction with the Portuguese, we should have learned reading, writing. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But
We
it
should
didn't
have,
happen.
at
You know
least,
why?
wow. And if we have done that, then we would have been privy to the things that were coming out in science and
Absolutely.
right.
And the reason
You're
why
right.
it didn't happen, see, the ruling elites, I'm sure there were members of the ruling elites that could read and write, right? There were
Okay.
members of the ruling elites.
Maybe.
But they kept it only to themselves. They did not allow it filter down to the society, you know. By so doing, they kept the society in the dark. The larger society, they kept them in the dark.
Yeah.
And the moment they went on that path, it became inevitable that the society will not develop.
Well,
so when the British came about 400 years, it was so easy for them to.
So this is the same thing that is going on
that we are suffering today.
Yeah. See,
today
we are still keeping certain part of our society in the dark.
In the dark. That's it. Because the elites, the ruling elites, want to keep their power and their wealth.
Yeah.
And to them, the only way to keep the power and wealth is to keep the society down. And you can see it all over. You can see it all over. Nepotism, cronyism, so the guys who have access to everything are the ones that are connected, So the rest of the world is heading in one direction. You deliberately set the country in another direction because you feel like, the ruling elites are losing their power. You don't want them to lose their power. So instead of having something that will benefit the entire society, you turn everything around, or you put a stop to that progress, so that you can reward people that don't deserve it.
Well,
this is what has kept our society backward.
Let's delve into this. The Fulani Herdsmen issue in Nigeria and other West African countries is a big deal. Okay. Now, this weekend, I watched the interview of the Channel TV interview with the governor of Kano State. See, I think I've already seen an article caption of that interview, and I read it, and I generally agree with him. Okay. See, I generally agree with him, and I watched the interview yesterday, and I liked most of the things he said. Now, the specifics, maybe not well, but the general issue is this. One thing he mentioned is educating the Fulanis. Let me come to that. See, when I was in graduate school, one of my, I think he was my marketing manager, my marketing lecturer, who actually said this. He said, if we don't want to continue complaining about the north of Nigeria, then all of us must agree that our brothers and sisters in the north must be educated. And I agree, because like we have already said before, education is the only way for common people to start thinking and then start challenging the status quo. See, without education, without understanding that these things are happening everywhere else, we are keeping those people in the dark.
Absolutely. Now, see, I I don't necessarily disagree with what the governor said, right? But like I've always said, people don't act just for acting reasons, right? People act because they stand to gain something from their action,
Okay.
right? So the reason why you went to school and suffered through school, all the cane you chop from Malagba and those, right? The reason why you endured it and didn't run away was because you have been made to realize that if you run away from this place, then you don't have a future, right? That education is your future. You must be educated, otherwise you don't have a future. So you endured school. You didn't like all aspects of school now.
Yes,
Abi?
not a bit. There were things I didn't like at all.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
There were days you wish that you didn't have to go to school at all. But you endured school because of the reward that you saw was at the end of it.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a society that did not share that belief system, that did not believe that, there's something to be gained from education, you can put in all the policies you like, it's not going to work. You get what I'm saying? So, again, it goes back to the history of Nigeria, right? So, when Nigeria was formed, right, in the South, you had to be educated to get a government job.
Yeah.
Right? Especially in the Igbo region, right? But in the North, because of the centralized fidelity system that they were running, right? They already had strong administration and everything. There was no strong impetus to acquire Western education. They had Islamic education, and Islamic education was what they used as how do I put it? Islamic education was what they used to
tool
move
of
people
control.
A tool, yeah, actually, not really a tool of control. It was similar to Western education, is what they use as a measure of how erudite you are. So they moved you up in society based on how well educated you are, and those were the people in Islamic education, and those are the people that got into the administration and became prominent people in the society. So they already had that going. In the South, such a thing did not exist. So when the British came, they set up that system, and of course, because Southerners wanted to also get into running this, what do you call it, administration and things like that, they had to acquire education. So the first set that acquired education were the ones that got, the best jobs, right? And the history of the South and the North continued like that. The North, in fact, what northern leaders of those days did was to reject Western education, right? Because they felt it was going to be competition for, it was actually going to challenge their status quo.
Yeah.
Consider this. The emirs in the North were no different from the Obas in the Southwest.
Okay.
Right? But if you take a look at the status of an Oba now, what will you say? I mean, they're just a notch above the common citizen, right? This is what those northern emirs fought against. They did not want their powers to be eroded, because the more Western education that the people get, the more they'll be challenged and the more their privileges and powers will be eroded. They saw that and they felt that this was a threat. He also suited the British, because what the British wanted was to rule you, but not directly. So the northern rulers at that time were very willing to stick with the indirect rule, because the indirect rule enabled them to keep their powers and privileges, right? But it wasn't the same in the South, because many of these structures did not exist in that form.
Yeah.
So now fast forward to 2021. You've had a society that has been that way for at least 200 years, where they didn't really place any emphasis on Western education. I don't like using Western education, frankly, because for me, education is education.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
It's not Western or Eastern or anything.
Yeah.
What we call Western education probably had its origin elsewhere. But for the for the sake of this conversation, let me use modern education.
Okay, modern. Yeah, that's good.
Modern education. So you had a society that for 200 years plus stuck to this ancient way of educating its citizens, which was, steeped in Islamic education.
The truth is that even that way of educating is not widespread to everyone.
It's not.
It's not.
No, it's not. It's only if you have only a few privileged ones have access to that kind of education.
Yeah. So that
education,
most of them don't have any.
Is not modern. Yes, that education is not modern in any way. In fact, if you take a look at the Almajiri system was designed to give the young people that education. So the whole purpose of our Almajiri system was you have a teacher, and people will send their children from all over to live with that teacher and learn from that teacher. But there's so much the teacher can do in taking care of all these children with him, right? So what they tend to do is to send the children out to fend for themselves, because they can't feed them, they can't clothe them. So just tell them, go out and fend for yourself. And that's how the administrative system came about. That's why you have children roaming up and down with plates. Okay. Now, coming to my point. So you had this society that had been like this for about 200 years, right? And then in 2021, you say you want to educate them. You get what I'm saying? It's not.
Well, see, the point is this.
For lack of a better, how do you make that switch?
Well, see, one thing is this. One thing is clear. No matter how difficult it will be, we need to do it. Because if we don't do it, what happened? Things will continue going downwards.
This is my point. It is not really my duty to do it. It's the duty of the rulers in those states to do it.
Yes, that's true.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Now, how successful it is will depend on how committed they are to doing these things. And so far, I have not seen any serious commitment. They've been saying a lot of things with their mouth. But if you take a look at it, you realize that it's actually politics that most of them are playing. Right? It comes down to this same thing of power and privileges. Now, Boko Haram will come out and tell you that Western education is haram, right? When a group makes that kind of statement about modern education, right, it tells you that they're not ready to evolve out of the Stone Age.
Well, see, let's agree that Boko Haram is a marginal group. Okay, it's a marginal group. So that's
look at them as an extreme group.
Yes, but so that's their own ideology.
They came out from a region, and they did not emerge out of a vacuum. So
that's true.
Political, religious, and socioeconomic circumstances in that region created the grounds for them to emerge.
Okay.
Right. So before a few bold ones among them came out to say, "Oh, this education is haram; it must be destroyed." Many of them have been talking about it for so long. And why were they talking about it? It goes back to the sentiment that elites in that region has always had, which is this form of education is going to come and erode my power and my privileges. I must find ways to resist it. Of course, not all of them were ready to go and carry guns and killing people and all that.
The point is this. The point is this. Even though that's what Boko Haram says, the majority of people who have suffered under them is their own people. Okay.
I know the way you need to look at this is, of course, it's going to be the moderates that will first of all start suffering.
Yes. So my point is this. The only way me and you, will contribute to the solution is to sign up with one of the things we think will work in the long run. Now, how effective it works will depend on the strategy, okay, and who is implementing it, okay.
Yes.
But
What if the people that are in a position to make it happen are not committed to it?
well, see that's if. But the first thing is, do we agree with education being the most important factor to reduce
Changing Africa. I
and
absolutely agree.
actually eliminate in the long run of all these things?
Issues.
Yes, I do.
Absolutely.
Good.
100%.
So
100%.
my point is that let's sign up and do our own bit, no matter whatever it is, to progress it.
What do you think our own bit should be?
Well, I don't know. So that's the conversation. See,
I think the best we can do is to raise the awareness on the importance of education.
Good.
Right.
And that's why we're having this conversation.
Start calling these guys out, these elites, especially those northern elites, out on what they're doing to destroy the people living in the north, with their obsession with power and privileges. The obsession with power and privileges.
You see,
you have to start calling them out.
See, I'll give you this. That happens everywhere else.
Yes, it does.
I'll say this. In the US, unfortunately, the Republicans, to me, do not have anything to offer to the modern society. But then they want to hold on to power. And they do anything and everything they can do to hold on to power. In the UK, what I've seen most recently is that, yes, the conservatives do not have a long-term agenda to provide value to the modern 50-year UK society. Because see, the UK society, the US society are progressively going more liberal. And these parties, which are conservatives, which means they want to hold on to the days of old.
Yes.
They don't want that progress to come. They want to hold on to the days gone by.
Yes.
That's exactly what these northern rulers or leaders are doing. So we all have to come out and do a bit. See, for me, yes, I'm Nigerian, but I'm African. But I'm human. See, I want to be associated with the higher society, and the highest society in this place is human. So yes, the world is divided by countries, but we all are humans.
We all are humans, yes.
So my brothers and sisters in the north, I want them to enjoy what I enjoy.
Yeah.
So whatever we can do to enable that, I want it.
there needs to be consequences and incentives. It's as simple as ABC, right? Why were Southern leaders, why were they so keen about educating Southerners in those days? You know,
I don't know. I don't know.
I think it was a tool of competition for them.
Okay.
They had to score those points to show the people that they were delivering something for the people.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So to keep their power.
If I look at the 80s, yes, that's what what's the party called? That
UPN.
free education. What's the party called?
UPN.
UPN, yes. Yeah.
Yes. Even in the 60s, 50s. So it was, they had to do it to show the people that, hey, this is what I've delivered to you. The ones in the north did not feel any of such thing. They didn't even want modern education because they saw it as a threat. You understand? Until you remove that, every program you do will fail. And it's really all about, bringing out this fact. I think that's the best we can do, bringing out this fact. Now, you hear a lot of games and, shenanigans that many of these politicians are playing. And it's all aimed at lining their pockets. So first, they came up with nomadic education. Because I knew that thing was not going to succeed. I lived in North, so I know it's not going to work. You don't have, when it's not that you're giving them my iPad and they're going to have what do you call it, hours of the day when they'll be in school. These guys roam about in the forest with their herd, right? So what you're having now is they have a whole lot of programs that they tout as, okay, what will educate these people? But the reality is that none of this will work if the primary motive is still the preservation of their wealth and power. That's the primary motive.
Okay. So this is a conversation we need to continue because it's the issues and solutions are many, and then
yes,
yeah. So that's something we need to continue.
Course, the Farmers Herders Crisis, for example, it's almost like that thing is inevitable.
Oh yeah. See, this happens in every culture where there are herders.
Where you have herders, yes.
Yeah.
Where you
it happens in every culture.
Yes, to make it worse in Nigeria, our herders in Nigeria belong mostly to one ethnic group.
Yeah, that's the difference. That's the political angle of this thing. Yeah.
And that is why the problem has been difficult to solve. Because if they were mostly not from one ethnic group, it will have been solved.
Yeah.
This ranching thing will have happened.
Yeah.
But because they were mostly from an ethnic group that actually believe that they own all the lands in Nigeria, these people actually believe that they own all that, that land is not yours. They're just here for whatever reason. You understand? So if you did not have that kind of belief system, right, this issue will have been resolved. It will have been a case of banning open grazing, putting these people in ranches.
Yeah.
When you do that, to put them in ranches, it becomes easier to educate them.
Well, see now that's exactly what the governor proposed. Okay. Now, because
the problem with what he proposed, I listened to the interview. I really didn't remember the part where he talked about funding, but I have a feeling that they're waiting for the federal government to come and fund it, right? And that is what I will kick against.
Okay.
The federal government cannot fund it because I also have my business that needs funding.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So let's look at this. See, we want business people to take up this course. You see?
Yes.
Yeah, business people to take up this course. Okay, buy land. Yeah, build ranches.
Yes.
See, modernize.
Yes.
Animal farming.
Yes.
So we want
Yes.
entrepreneurs to come to this space and take up
Yes.
this course.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
because everything cannot be
Government.
government. Okay,
Yes.
so we need business people to
That's it.
come there and say, hey, this business is worth this much, so I want to
Yes.
be involved. Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
what is government, whatever, is
Absolutely.
the education of the people,
Mhm. Yes.
which
So if what these governors do is to say, oh, I'm going to make this much hectares available, herders should come there,
okay,
register, right, and come and settle there with their
cattle,
herds,
yeah,
with their cattle, right? And you want entrepreneurs to come and invest in A, B, C, D, E, F, then we'll be on our way to solving the problem.
good,
No, it's not when you fold your hands and expect the federal government to budget 200 billion to solve this problem. You don't. This is a problem that doesn't even need you to invest one kobo. It's something that can be solved end to end by entrepreneurs because there's something for them to gain from it.
yeah, yeah.
Right?
And again, like I said at the beginning of this particular discussion, this issue is a Western Africa issue. It's not only
Mm-hmm.
in Nigeria, okay?
Yeah.
Because Fulani herders are in Ghana and other
Yeah.
countries.
Burkina. Yeah. They're in
Yeah.
other countries.
So
Yes. Nigeria.
it's for entrepreneurs to, yes, the government need to tell them, hey, we will provide this in terms of land, whatever.
And
Yeah. So you guys come on board.
yes.
So
Yes.
we
You
say
guys come on
we
board.
need to,
That you provide this, you provide that, and everybody is paying for one service or the other, and
yeah.
whatever is generated from there, all of you make your income from whatever is generated from there. That market is there. So the problem is not the market. You don't need to create the market anymore.
The market is there.
The market is there.
Yeah.
So just put your resources together and make this happen. But when these guys are waiting for the FG to give the elites money,
You see, the
you
thing is
understand,
the thing is that
which is what they are driving at.
we have been, what's the word now? We have grown to rely on the government, the federal government, to provide this, provide that. Many of us have, well, when I say many of us, the politicians, because the everyday person provides everything for himself.
Yes, exactly.
But the politicians have grown
Mm-hmm.
with the government, with the federal government in particular in
Yeah.
Nigeria, to provide
Yes.
everything. And then and most of the time, the money the government provides doesn't
It's stolen. It's just
stolen.
stolen.
See that,
Yes.
and that's
It's looted.
why this thing needs to be and be solved by entrepreneurs, because when people put the money in a business, then nobody else will come there and steal it.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
because they manage it well.
yeah,
And if you don't manage your business well, you pay the consequences.
yeah.
So
So
you have every incentive to protect your investment. That's how it is.
so we need entrepreneurs to
Yes.
be on board to solve this problem.
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing we agree on. Now,
100%.
good. Now, see, we have been living. Why am I doing this? COVID.
Mhm.
I've been in my flat for 1 year. Okay.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I go out for essentials. I go out for walks. You know. The last time I went to my office in London was March last year.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I've gone there twice to pick up my mail. Yeah, you see, that's COVID. See, the people in Nigeria and more on other African countries, in Nigeria in particular, see COVID as a hoax. And that scares me. See, like I've told you several times, it scares me because, yes, somehow this virus hasn't affected Africa, Nigeria, as it has in the Western world. But if we don't take this opportunity to start investing in our healthcare infrastructure and the science, the next pandemic, see, I'm saying this, yeah?
Not so lucky.
See, the next pandemic, we may not be this lucky.
Yep.
See,
Yep.
Are people who watched or read the Bill Gates TED Talk and say he's whatever he wants to kill the world. See, I tell people all Bill Gates did was risk assessment. He just saw what is going on and he told you this is possible. And I want to, on this podcast, I want to say what he told us then, it is possible again in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Now we need to invest in infrastructure, in education, in science. Otherwise, the next pandemic, we may not be so lucky. I don't know. What do you see around you?
I think the belief by many Africans that COVID-19 is a hoax comes back to, what we've been saying about, what the elements that have the strongest hold on what Africans believe. Religion is one element, and what religious leaders say mean a lot.
Yeah.
A large segment of the population. So if you check, many of those beliefs came out from churches and mosques.
Yep.
Where
I agree.
They were told that this is a hoax, or where people came out and said Bill Gates wants to depopulate humanity and stuff like that. So, and of course, you have a large population of people that believe this thing without questioning. So it goes back to what we said earlier about questioning, critical thinking, and all these stuffs. Indeed, there may be people out there who want to depopulate the world for whatever reason they have, or depopulate Africa for whatever reason. I don't know.
Nobody wants to do that because
I don't know. I don't know. We can't read the mind of everybody. The question is what technologies exist today to do such a thing?
The point is this: what's the incentive? Okay.
Yes. Why would anybody?
They want to make money, and the larger the population is, the more money they make. Okay. So when it comes to,
let's even say let's even say there's a possibility that you have some mad people out there.
Maybe the mad people, okay.
Mad ones who have so much money, they don't know what to do, and they want to spend it in depopulating Africa. I won't rule that out. But the point really is, all the methods that they claim will be used don't just make sense.
Okay.
We create a vaccine and we'll put in DNA altering elements.
See, that's where, because thank God I was a biochemist, so I understand DNA, RNA. So I spent a lot of time talking to people I know who sent me
But even if you don't understand, even if you are not a biochemist, all you needed to do was question certain things. Number one,
that's it. And their answers.
if you want to depopulate this country, for example, you don't need to wait for COVID.
Exactly.
There's so many other ways to do it. So I think again it goes back to something missing in our education.
Yeah.
And the good thing here is it's not just Africa. It's a global phenomenon.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
yeah. But for me, it's more. The consequences is mostly in Africa because we don't have the infrastructure. The other Western countries have everything already. So even if the fringe are going out and shouting this and that, the people who have sense already know what to do, and they're doing it. They're doing it, even if, see, I will tell you, I know somebody in this country who was going out to London, an European who was going out to London to protest, right? He has taken the vaccine. Okay, so I want people to understand. Okay,
so why was he going out to protest?
After protesting, he has taken the vaccine. Right? Once his GP called him, hey, you are scheduled to take the vaccine. We argued and we talked about it, and he said, okay, I'll take the vaccine. So he has taken the vaccine. Okay, so see, unfortunately, our people who are saying these things, they don't have people around them to educate them, to argue with them, and challenge their thinking.
Yep.
I mean, we know we have people we know, our senior who died COVID in Lagos. How old is he? 51?
51. Yeah.
Hey, see, I know at least 5 people who have died of COVID. 4 of them in Nigeria. I know people in Nigeria who have died of COVID. A friend of mine also let us know that a family member had died of COVID last week.
I don't know if you remember Yomi, my good friend that you must know him.
Was he
around He was
most likely I will know him.
You know him. Yeah, Yomi too passed away from COVID. 49 or 48.
Wow. See?
So, but it's easy to sell the conspiracy theory that we have some lizard people that are trying to take over the world. And it's always this when you do it through religion.
And it's so bad that religious people are the ones spreading it.
Yeah.
See, I've watched several videos of pastors, very, very influential pastors, stand in the pulpit and we be saying things that anybody who understands a little science can easily disprove.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I've watched this man talk about the 5G whatever, and then I was just laughing.
It's not even about science; it's about critical reasoning.
I was just laughing. It
has a lot of
followership. So ridiculous.
Yeah,
and
which is why I think religion has played its role in taking humanity to a point,
Yeah.
and also taking Africa to a point. But I think it's gotten to a point now where it needs to start getting de-emphasized, because what it has created are, a set of rulers, that's religious leaders and followers, who do not act on reality. It's almost like they live in a different dimension from the ones that we live in. They're not guided by facts.
Did I tell you about this book, Fantasyland?
No.
Oh, let me bring it for you. I'm reading it.
Mm-hmm. 1 second. Yeah. Tell me.
Yes, Fantasyland. See.
Oh, okay.
See, I want everybody to read this. See, if you read it, you understand a lot that is going on in America. I mean, it tells you the history, the history of America that we don't normally see, the perspective. Okay, see, he's in this book, he talks about the ideology that is American. I mean, it's fantastic. So I want everybody to see this and read it.
I'll go and get it.
Yeah. Anyway, Biodun, thank you very much. I know, like you said, you are not feeling very, very strong this morning. Thank you very much for being the first guest.
It's a pleasure.
Podcast. Thank you very much. Like I said, we will have more discussions, and you'll be here again.
Fantastic. It'll be a pleasure anytime.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Bye.
Listen or watch more episodes of Think Big for Africa podcast with new guests every week. Subscribe to ensure that you are notified whenever new episodes are available.